Hello and welcome back to the Argyle HR Solutions Expo. My name is Vicki Lynn Brunskill with Argyle. It's great to have everyone joining us today. A couple of notes before I turn things over to our esteemed speakers for this session. First, a quick reminder to stop by our sponsors' virtual booths at any time during today's event and for the following week. Our partners are committed to providing you with valuable content and a great overall experience today, and at any time during the event, you can visit their virtual booth from the main agenda page. And now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce our speakers, Reggie Clairville, Sales Support Engineer at GP, and Matt Desrosiers, Senior Sales Executive at GP. We are so excited to have Reggie and Matt with us for their thought leadership and demo presentation titled Global Made Possible, a live GP Meridian Suite demo. Welcome, Reggie and Matt, and over to you.
Welcome to the GP Meridian Suite live demonstration. My name is Reggie Clairville, Sales Support Engineer based in Boston, Massachusetts. I've been with the company for about 7 years, and today I'll be doing a walkthrough of the platform with you. I'd also like to introduce Matt Desrosiers, our Senior Sales Executive. Matt, if you'd like to just give a quick intro.
Yeah, thanks, Reggie, and thanks everyone for joining today. My name is Matt Desrosiers, Senior Sales Executive based in Breckenridge, Colorado. I've been with the company for almost 3 years and looking forward to discussing some common use cases and customer stories today.
Thank you, Matt. All right, so we're going to go over today's agenda. First, we're going to talk about GP and employer of record and what we do. And then Matt will go through a customer success story. Then, of course, we'll do an overview of the GP Meridian Suite, a live demonstration, and then take any questions that you may have. So to begin, talking a little bit more about GP. GP is a pioneer and recognized leader of the global employment industry and has delivered world-class global compliance and workforce products designed to meet the needs of growing companies since 2012. We help you find, hire, onboard, pay, and manage team members quickly and compliantly, regardless of the country and without the need of setting up an international entity. Our global growth platform is driven by the industry's first fully customizable suite of SaaS-based products, and you leave the hard part to us while you focus on the best part, growing your business. Now, we do like to ask some questions to make sure we understand more of what you know about our industry. So our first question would be, have you heard of an employer of record? Your options, of course, will be first time hearing about it. I've heard a little bit about it before. I'm a little familiar with it, want to learn more, and you can let us know through the poll. We'll give you a couple of seconds to go through that. All right. Thank you for your responses. If you're already familiar, as it looks like some of you may be, this will be a quick recap. If not, though, we're going to dive right in. So, to begin, an employer of record allows you to hire around the world without setting up any legal entity or banks or anything like that. The EOR, GP in this case, would serve as a legal employer while you manage and direct the daily work of your employees. Within the employment contracts, all duties will be reassigned back to you so that anything that pertains to intellectual property or just their daily task at work will always come down to what you want to do and not necessarily what GP is operating on. Now, in terms of GP in the industry, if you look, we have some really nice graphics that'll help you understand where we are in the industry and also where our services line up against our competitors. Now, you may be wondering why companies of all sizes, including some of the top brands in the world, choose GP. Well, let's drill down on some of our stats. One of the interesting ones you'll see is that we have a 94% customer satisfaction rating. And this derives from the way that we onboard our customers when they first come on with us, meaning we make sure that they get a full intro, a meeting, so they can understand who their partners around the world will be. Speaking of our HR specialists, they'll be assigned a customer success manager or someone of the like that'll be able to guide them and speaking to these HR specialists, and also just general onboarding things you may need to know in terms of the system and people from your own side that'll be helping you manage the day-to-day of your professionals. You'll also see that we have an onboarding satisfaction rating of 100%, and we have over 100 of our own wholly owned entities, which allows us to control the end-to-end lifecycle for your employees, from onboarding to offboarding and everything in the middle. 96% of our hires are employed directly via GP entities, and we have a payroll accuracy of 99%. We have over 400 global partners, including some of the top HRM providers such as ADP and Paychex, and our solution delivers all the capabilities you need to hire, onboard, pay, and manage in, once again, 180 plus countries. We do take compliance very seriously, and that's why we have the largest in-house legal team in the industry with over 30 legal counsel located around the world. Now, in terms of how an EOR can help your company, one of the things that our customers like to do is test new markets. So what they can do is, after signing a master services agreement, you can come in and start exploring a little bit more through country insights to find out which country might suit your needs a little bit better. Now, if you already had a country in mind, which a lot of our customers often do, you would just actually come in and start setting up payroll and everything. So that means choosing what you're going to pay out to your employees and also selecting the benefits you want to offer. And you'll have the assurance that everything will be done within a compliant manner. As you can see in the graphic, that kind of addresses the gist of what an EOR would do, meaning setting up payroll, helping you with taxes, benefits, and of course, compliance. One of the other important things that we do as well is help you manage risk. So anytime you come working with GP, you can be assured that in Germany, for example, all AEG compliance items will be addressed. And in countries where there's local language requirements for the contract, you can be confident that the contract will be in the proper language. Now we have another poll. Is your company planning on expanding globally? The options will be yes, within the next few months, yes, sometime in 2024, or no, we only hire talent within our country and have no interest in expanding. Of course, there's a fourth option, of course, as well. We're not sure. So I'll give you a couple of minutes or seconds to go through that one. All right, thank you. Now we'll take that info and have a look. I don't want to spend too much time on it. So we want to tell you more about the customers that we've helped. As you can see, we have some logos showing here. These are some of the companies that we've helped expand across the world in the last couple of years. Now, of course, in general, we're all aware that work has been transformed by technological advances, enabling companies to build global teams to support their growth ambitions. GP has created a compelling value proposition for clients through vast geographical coverage and strong investment in services and technology offerings, which you would experience once working with us when working with our vast HR specialist team, our own internal help support teams, and also using our technology to generate a contract, view reports, time and expenses, and just getting general information about expansion. Through our legal-owned entities, we ensure both compliance and security for you and your professionals. Now I'm going to go ahead and pass over to Matt, who's going to talk a little bit more about a customer that we've helped.
Thank you very much, Reggie. And certainly some common use cases with all of those companies, but at the same time, every company is very unique and has their own requirements, which is where we'll custom tailor our support to meet those specific requirements. So for example, Zoom, as you saw on that past screen, used GP very strategically when they saw their extreme growth during COVID to help them scale compliantly and strategically. Also, the New England Patriots you saw on there, some of you may be fans, others may not be, totally understandable. They partnered with GP recently to help with their expansion into Germany and the growth of the NFL into Europe. So certainly different use cases, but that's where GP is there to really help. Speaking about another company and a specific company that I had helped expand, it was a clothing manufacturer. They were incorporated in 2019 based in California here in the US. Every single one of their employees located in the US, about 100 in total. So certainly a smaller organization than the other two that I just mentioned. They were, obviously with that industry, with clothing manufacturing and clothing in general, it's an extremely competitive industry. Everyone there is looking to gain an edge. So what they spun off in September was what they called a global outreach program. And their goal was to expand into 130 countries to sell their service and really grow their brand. They identified an extremely high-level VP of business development that was highly sought after, had helped recent startups really scale into Europe specifically, and also in the clothing industry. So this was a really, really perfect fit for their organization. They were looking for them to be based in Europe. They didn't necessarily know where in Europe. Happened to be this individual is located in the United Kingdom. So the caveat was here is a couple things. The candidate had offers from other companies and they were looking to start within the next week. Also, this company is strictly based in the United States. They had no experience hiring in the UK. They did not want to establish an entity. They did not want to establish a bank account, tax ID, HR function, benefits offering, employment agreement, etc. in the UK. So they reached out to GP via our website, and really the rest is history there. How GP was able to help them was, of course, with the compliance component, right? So quickly generating a locally compliant employment agreement, having local counsel on the ground in the United Kingdom, helping with the local employment tax filings, all handled by globalization partners. Really what we're there to do is be an extension of our customers' global HR function, not a replacement. Really what we're there to do from a compliance perspective is to shift that burden of labor law and compliance from our customers' shoulders over to ours. Another way that we were really leveraged here was for onboarding speed. So as Reggie will get into here in a minute in the technology demo, we do have a piece of our tech that is extremely important called our employment contract generator, which allows you to generate a contract just in a matter of minutes. So this is an extremely competitive situation. This professional was getting other offers. There was a risk that they were going to lose this candidate. And because we were able to get that contract generated fast, they were able to get that offer out, work with our HR team, get the benefits selected, and lock down this candidate. When I speak about benefits as well, obviously that's really important to know. There is nuance around the world, right? The US being the only country that ties benefits to employment. Other countries, it's a statutory right. But in that sense, a lot of countries, such as the UK, will supplement their healthcare. They'll supplement their pension to add above and beyond. If you've ever lived in the UK or know anyone that has, you might be familiar with what's called the NIC, or the National Insurance Contribution. It's their public health scheme. But what they'll say there is that that is rubbish. So they are looking for some type of benefit on top of that. That's where GP was able to leverage our plans through Bupa for medical, dental, protection, employee assistance program. And we were also able to increase the supplemental pension. What they wanted to do was get a similar benefit package as possible to the US while still being compliant and competitive in the UK. And that's really what we were able to guide them through, as benefits are really different globally. The other piece, our UK-based HR specialists were able to work with them as well as this professional. They very, very high-end professional, had a lot of questions during onboarding, had never been employed through an EOR. We were able to ease their concerns, address all of their questions, and again, get them onboarded within a week. So they were able to start and really hit the ground running with this company as what they desired. Other piece, ease of use, not a lot of administrative burden. They didn't need to manually send payroll. Everything's automated on the back end, which Reggie will get into here. They had a really thin HR team. Their financial controller was actually acting as their HR admin at the time. So they really did not want to add additional burden to their plate. They had so much going on already, as you can imagine, with a startup such as that. So we take care of all those items. It's fully automated. We do all the fun administrative stuff on the back end. And in the UK, we actually even file the P11D form report for all of our customers, which is a benefits in kind report. So really the summary is that professional was able to get onboarded. They were able to lock them down. They were the perfect candidate. Customers extremely happy. And now they have succeeded in growing their product into over 130 countries. It's great as well for us because they plan on continuing to use GP as their strategic global growth partner. So that is my customer story for today.
Thank you very much, Matt. That is a great one. So now I'm going to go ahead and reintroduce GP Meridian Suite. Now, it's considered the #1 suite of global employment products in the world, and it is the first fully customizable SaaS-based global employment product. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it right now. So within GP Meridian Suite, you're going to see that we have 3 different facets. The first one is GP Meridian Core. With Core, you'll have all the essential tools you need to find, recruit, hire, and manage your global workforce. Prime will unlock some additional features, such as white glove services, expanded access to GP's global network of legal and HR experts, which would include redlining and also things like background checks, visa support, and also equity payroll management. Lastly, we have some a la carte products, one of them being GP Meridian Contractor, which will give you the flexibility to test markets before you decide to bring somebody on EOR, or maybe spin up your own entity or bring somebody on your entity in another country that you might already have. Now, just to talk a little bit more about what's included within GP Meridian Core, you're going to see that this is, once again, the first fully customizable suite of global employment products. Now, we've always had a vision of creating more opportunities for everyone, everywhere, simply and easily. So, as you can see, Core includes onboarding and offboarding. That does mean reaching out to your professional, and that's how we refer to your team members internally. When they come on board, they'll be able to input their work authorization information, such as passport, resume, things like that. And in the case that you will be offboarding them at any point, we would also handle that process as well. As you can see, employment contract management is there, as we've spoken about before. Legal right to work will be checked, meaning that you will first indicate whether the person needs a visa or not, but we will be re-asking that question to your professionals during the onboarding process for them as well. There is a payroll management facet, and within payroll management, it's not as if you have to come in every month to decide if you're going to pay somebody or not. It's more so if there's ever any variable compensation items, like a bonus, a commission, if you want to change their pay, and also if there's ever any expenses that need to be paid out. These are all things that can be handled within the system, but you can rest assured that anything that you've elected as like standard payments to someone's salary, a monthly allowance, or things like that, that will always run automatically every month. And plus a bevy of other options that we have here, such as benefits, time and expenses, reporting, customer support, and more importantly, 24/7 help center access for your professional and also you. And I don't want to I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this. We also have very, very good data protection services, whereby your professional, being the owner of their own data, would be the ones who consent to sharing their information, and us being the processor, we do make sure that we're always operating on a consent first basis. So any information shared to you will have been approved by your professional previously. Now, Prime has everything core, but with additional features. So you'll see here that you have M&A support and transition services for those bigger companies that are looking to make some bigger changes. We also have bulk onboarding. And the way that would work is you'd work with your customer success team, who would take kind of like a template, a boilerplate of what you want within the contracts. So say you had like 50 people that you wanted to hire for customer support, you would be able to generate a contract for whichever jurisdiction that is and kind of have the salary information lined out there, any clauses you'd like to include, and you'd have full knowledge of what was going out to your professionals before it hit their desk. Of course, with payroll management, there are bulk change requests. So once again, if say you wanted to hand out a bonus to all 50 of these folks, you can do that with GP Meridian plus Prime. And then also for benefit offerings, we have benefit analysis. Now, that being said, within Core, you do have the ability already to see what other customers are doing and what professionals are accepting, but the benefit analysis is a little bit deeper insight to see whether or not what you're offering will be enough to compete with other companies within that same market. And additionally, you'll see that we have alternate payment methods such as Wire and Wise, and we have, as I mentioned before, probably didn't speak too much on it, but you do have a dedicated customer success manager when you are working with GP Meridian Prime, which is really huge when you have that kind of question you might have on your mind as you're going through employment contract generator, or maybe you're reaching an 18-month point in Germany where there's something about AUG coming up. This would be a great time for customer success manager to come out, talk to you about it, walk you through the process, and help you understand more about what that means in terms of employment. Now, you'll also see that we have some package add-ons and a la carte products. As mentioned before, you do have GP Contractor, which can help you test new markets before you go on board EOR with GP or you spin up your own entity. But you'll also notice that we have background checks, equity payroll management, employment contract enforcement facilitation, and visa support. These are all very important things in the global market when you are expanding to make sure that everything is going seamlessly and you don't have to go to multiple different places to get this done. Of course, you'll also see office space, IT equipment, and the EAP, which is commonly offered in the United States, but we've taken that extra step and made it available to anybody that you are hiring globally. Then here you're going to see we have two of our newer products, GP Meridian Advisor and GP Meridian Entity. So just a light product overview on Entity. It's our in-platform feature that helps you make data-driven decisions on how to structure and manage your global operations. The problem it solves is we help you create and maintain a legal entity. And that's something that can be really complex and time-consuming, often involving multiple partners and also sometimes trips internationally that can really rack up your expenses. The opportunity it unlocks is you get to expand your business across new markets, and any operational choices and opportunities that you encounter, GP will be there to assist you on the other end. And after you're off and running, this is something that you'll be able to manage yourself independently. Key features are you get a free cost estimate for creating an entity and analysis of 3 different expansion options for each country you select. Key benefit is you will get a reliable estimation. You'll have one single point of contact. As mentioned before, oftentimes this is something that could require multiple partners, but in this case, you are working with just GP. There are internal resource savings. As mentioned, you won't be traveling back and forth, and there is compliance at every stage. Now for GP Meridian Advisor, you can tap into tech design to put your global HR and tax advice at your fingertips anytime you need it. We give you deeper insights through our team of HR compliance experts, and this information will always be available to you at the click of a button. Once again, the problem that it solves is we help you maintain global compliance. So if you already have an entity and there's some issues you're encountering, this is a great time to come in with us and be able to review what you have going on to make sure that everything is on the up and up. And as you go further along your growth journey and you continue facing complex challenges, you'll have somebody there to help you with those global hiring, payroll, tax, labor law, and anything else inquiries that may come in. One of the things you can do with GP Meridian Advisor is you can book time with an in-country expert at a time convenient for you, and you'll receive tailored advice on compensation and benefits while gaining insight and guidance on local employment and tax laws. This helps you reduce time and resources. Once again, travel, huge. You will minimize risk because at times when you don't have your feet on the ground, you may not know if you're doing something wrong. Well, this is where we would come in because we do operate with compliance at every stage, and we provide streamlined support that will help you during the process. Now you'll see that we're also announcing our new Meridian feature, AI-powered assistance through Global Intelligence Assistant, which internally we call GIA. And you'll see this actually shortly when I go into the live solution demo. It's a key part of our product now in terms of it helps get you the information that you need really quickly in a manner that's tailored to the person that's actually coming in and keying in that information. All right, so now we're looking at a company administrator. And this would be somebody who is appointed from your company that comes in and is the main point of contact, but also the super admin of the platform. So you'll see we have a bevy of options here on the left-hand side, such as professionals, where I can view my professionals. Once again, these are your team members that are hired internationally. You can manage contracts, which I'll show you in a second, and also change requests. And this is how you come in and make contractual changes while also having an audit log that will tell you who on your team exactly made these changes. Now, why is that important? I'm going to go ahead and click on the users menu, and I'm going to go to manage users. When accessing manage users, the reason I'm going here is to show you the different roles that we have within the system. As you can see here, we have some company-wide roles. So there's a company administrator, which I'm using right now, which is a super user with access to everything and can update company users. Then you have accounts payable and invoice details, which pertains more to the finance side of things. And if you ever have more questions on that or want a more detailed walkthrough, feel free to contact us. We're happy to go through that with you. And then we have a stakeholder who is a see all but do nothing user. On the bottom, we have our manager roles. Now, the manager roles are important because, as you can see, there are communications that will go out from GP and the GP platform, but we don't want anybody to be inundated with emails that don't pertain to their specific functions. So when you bring on a professional, you'll be able to add someone who's human resources, payroll, expense, time, and supervisor. You do not have to have a different person for each one, but if you would like to do that, the option is there. We definitely have customers who come in, as Matt mentioned, who may be HR and also will be payroll because they're a startup. And then we also have larger companies like Zoom who may have a different person for HR for different people in different regions. So as you can see, we make it flexible so that you can manage it in whichever manner you'd like to. Now, from my users, let's say I was a HR user or a company administrator, I can actually go ahead and start adding new people into the system. So what you're going to see here is I'm going to go ahead and click on adding professional, and I'm going to select a new country. In this case, I'm actually going to select the United Kingdom and click on next. We'll be presented with our newer interface. Well, you'll see Gia start making some comments here. And the first thing you need to do when going into the UK is selecting our benefits. Now, it's important to note, as Matt mentioned, in the UK, while they do have benefits that are compulsory that they have to have offered, they may not be the best, especially when you're competing with other companies within that same market that may have, wider pockets. So in this instance, we help you set up benefits within that jurisdiction, in this case, the UK, to make sure that whatever offer you're putting forward is the best offer. So we begin with pension benefits. So here I can choose to offer group pension, and then I would choose what percent I like to offer to my professionals. If I wanted more information about these specific plans, all I could do is just click, I'll download a PDF document, I can review, and I could go get really granular on what the plan consists of. And then, of course, I can take a look at the FAQs and then employee guide to salary exchange as well, depending on where I am. In this case, I'm going to say 10%, and I can continue. And now I need to select a medical benefit. Now, in this case, I can select the complete plan, so I'll select that, or I can choose not to offer one. In this case, I will choose to select one, and I will do an individual. Now for a dental benefit, you'll see that we have the level 4 plan, and I'll go ahead and choose that. And I can choose, let's say, individual here as well. This person we're bringing on board may be a single person. Lastly, we have the protection benefit. So we'll choose group life and income. And we want to offer to our professional gold. Now, one thing to note as well, in this selection process that I was just doing, being that I am a company administrator, I may not have made this clear, I'm selecting what I'm going to be offering out to my professionals. So in this case, I'm actually only giving my professionals individual level coverage. But if I was more of a generous company, I can always go back at it and say, you know what, I want to offer individual and family for everything. So let me just go do that instead. We want to make sure, once again, we're putting forward our best offer. Once I'm all set with that, I can click on submit. And now my benefits will be set up. Once I've selected my benefits, I'll be able to continue through, but also you'll notice I have a chat here. With this chat, if I had a question for our team, I can actually go ahead and submit a chat, or I can wait while I input the question and wait a few seconds, and the Autobot can also respond to me as well. In this case, though, I have no questions, so I'm just going to continue through the process. And when I arrive here, I will need to add some personal information for the professional. In this case, I'm going to put in the person I'm onboarding is Hugh, and Hugh Brown, right? And then Hugh's email address will be hbrown@testing.com, and a mobile number for Hughie. I'll say 800-00000. And then here I can continue through. It's important to note as I go through this process, I have not yet sent out anything to my professional. Essentially, the idea is as I go through this process and start setting the person up, at the end, after I've reviewed the contract information, I'm okay with everything that I'm seeing, I'll be able to send this out directly to them, but only after I've been okay with everything that's listed. And I have the option to share it out to other colleagues as well. Let's say there's another supervisor, or maybe somebody who's going to be the direct line manager. They want to see the contract. I'll be able to share that out before Hugh gets to see that himself. Now, as mentioned before, we were looking for customer support. So job title will be customer support manager, since Hugh will be the first person hired in the jurisdiction. And my start date can be the 4th. And you're going to see that Gia has also prompted me. We must have the employment contract in place by the 10th day of the month, so your professional receives their first payroll at the end of that month. Now, you're going to see Gia making a lot of comments as we go through. I'm not going to stop and read every single one of them, but it's important to note that the guidance will always be there throughout the process, in addition to the chat, in addition to your customer success manager, in addition to our ticketing system. Now, for annual base salary, it will always be in local currency for the professional. In this case, it's going to be pounds. So I'm going to actually offer them 70,000 pounds a year. And I will not be providing a sign-on bonus. And I will not be putting in a annual bonus. Now, as you can see here, for reasons of local compliance, we don't review bonus plans, but you can always send that over directly to your employee if you'd like to. And additionally, we actually don't recommend including bonus-specific details in the employment contract because once it's included in the contract, it cannot be decreased. And I'll reiterate that again. There's going to be certain things that you don't want to put into the contract just because if there is a variable aspect to it, we let you manage that later on downstream, such as when you're managing payroll. And I'll continue through here, and our next section will be about benefits. And so the first question I get is, would I like to provide the statutory minimum employer contribution for pension? As you saw before, we already decided what we're going to offer directly in the pension benefit. So I'm not going to change anything here, and I'm actually just going to reiterate what I put before. So it's going to be 10%. And then I will continue through. Gia had a comment about that as well. We skipped over that one because we already had a better idea of what we wanted to offer. And now we have our leave entitlement for Hugh's new job. So we're going to see, would you like to provide the statutory minimum annual leave amount? Once again, I can refer to Gia, and I will see that in the UK, the statutory minimum annual leave for professionals is 20 days per year. If I do not feel that is enough, Gia also follows on to tell me that it's more common for them to receive 22 or 25. Why is this important? As I mentioned before, you are competing in a global market, and there will be a company within London that may be looking to hire Hugh as well. I want to make sure whatever I'm offering Hugh will be competitive within the market. So in this case, I'm going to go for the full 25. And once we continue through, now I need to look at my termination terms. You're going to notice that in the UK, the statutory minimum notice period is 1 week for professionals who have been in service with the company for up to 2 years. The notice period increases by 1 week for every year of service thereafter, up to a maximum of 12 weeks. If I feel that is sufficient for me, I'm just going to go ahead and click on yes. Not to make much changes in this case. There's going to be times where you want to customize things. There's going to be other times where you're just like, okay, this is already all set. I have the legal reasoning behind it. And in the case of US employers, it's kind of already more than what we might have anyway. So it works perfectly. So now we're going to continue on. And now I need to share the job details with my professional. So I can also preview my job details as well. So if I go here, not loading for me. Oh, there it is. All right. So we're going to see some of my job details here. Legal name Hugh, job info, job title will be CSM. Start date will be 4/3/24. And then if I go back here, I'm just going to confirm this is the contact I want to reach out to. That is the email I have for Hugh. So now we're going to go ahead and share the contract out to Hugh. So once we've clicked on share, this is of course us feeling more comfortable with everything. We know what we've entered into the system. We're kind of clear on that. And once again, if we weren't clear on that, we have the chat option so we can reach out to somebody if you have any questions. And then we'll see that the job details have been shared, and I can add comments if I'd like to. If I want to add a comment, it'll just redirect me here. I can come in, I can edit anything that I want on this side. But in this case, I'm just going to go ahead, say it's all set, nothing I really want to edit, and I can go ahead and exit the wizard. Now I'm exiting because now we need to have Hugh kind of review on his side to see what's going on. So later on at some point, Hugh will log into his computer, they'll decide whether or not they're okay with the job offer, they'll then accept it, and then I can go ahead and generate the contract to have it finally sent out to Hugh to have it signed. Now, later on during the life cycle, I'll still be able to manage contracts for my active professionals. So in this case, you'll see that I don't have anybody fully active yet, but I can take a look at, say, maybe our here to my professionals. And I'll have a list of my folks. And you'll see some of the quick links that I have here are like contact details, payroll, benefits, invoices, change requests. Now, of course, this is for folks who are still on the newer side. So if I actually transition over here and I go to another customer that I've loaded up, which has different countries, you're going to see that I have a few active folks, 8 to be specific. I can go ahead and click on maybe Catherine. And with Catherine Cobeto, you'll see that we already have personal information loaded in. And Catherine has their preferred pronouns, employment contract information, and also their team. Now, as we referenced before, when we talked about users, the human resources person will come in and have access to contact details and documents. Supervisor, once again, does not have to be a direct line manager, but it is somebody that can access contact details. And then you have a payroll approver that can come in and submit contractual changes, bonuses, commissions, of course, pending you didn't put in the contract. And then, of course, you have expense and time. Expense approver 2 is an and, not an or, meaning if you have a controller that has to verify all expenses before they're finally approved, this is typically where you might put this person. So Eileen, for example, will be my expense approver 2 after Audrey already approves it. So once I save that, that will save that to that record. So anybody else that comes in here, GP or my colleague will know who's the person responsible for this professional from my side as a customer. Then we'll also have contact details, such as a personal home, emergency contact information. There's a benefits tab, so you can see benefit info. There's also payroll, where you can see the payroll start date, expense method, annual base salary. Of course, it's going to be in sterling, given this person is in the UK. And I can also show a deposit calculation, helping me get really granular into the system. As you can see, there are specific line items listed here, and also on the professional's main page, you will once again see these line items. This is important because we have reporting on the back end that will help you produce all this information for however many professionals you may have in the system. So as you can see here, I have 8 folks. So maybe I want to go to reporting because I want to see more information about what I've been paying out to folks throughout the year. Now, we have standard reports, which we consider our out-of-the-box reports, such as contract summary report, expense transaction details, a global employment cost report, and of course, an invoice transaction report, which is actually my favorite one and many controllers as well, where you can come in and select all countries that you have with GP. And in this case, I would say select all types, unless specifically I was maybe looking for Christmas bonus information. So if I only want to see 13th, 14th off maybe. In most cases, though, I will actually want to see all types of transactions. Reason being is I'm going to be able to track every single transaction that's ever come out from GP invoice to me, even adjustments. So everything will be listed within this report. Now, after I'm more familiar with these out-of-the-box reports, what's really nice is I can go ahead and access custom reporting. Now, with custom reporting, you'll see I have a report already added here for outstanding invoices. So let me just take a look to see what we've built here previously. And you'll see the only things I have here are invoice number, invoice release date, bill status, and bill paid date. I'm actually going to go back and create a new report because that's not exactly the information I'm looking for, right? You want to see more salary transactions. So I'm going to create a transactions report. And I'm going to go ahead and say this is for Hugh on onboarding, because Hugh will be managing our customer support team in the UK. And I want to have this available for Hugh later on after they've onboarded, which is a great time to note as well. After Hugh is on board, if I do want to have Hugh as a manager for other professionals in the UK, we have the capability to give Hugh options to be able to toggle between a human resources role or payroll approver, whatever you want to add, and also their own professional role. Here, you'll see some of the columns I can select from within team members. So I'm going to select the professional's name. And then I want to see maybe a contract start date and then a payroll start date. And then down here, I'm actually going to go to compensation. And I'm going to look through some of these transactions I may have. I'm going to choose, I want to see more information about insurance premiums. I want to see it in my billing currency, but I also want to see it in the local currency for my professionals as well. Now, I can filter this specifically for the UK if I wanted to. In this case, I'm not going to go do that. I can filter for a lot of different things, actually, if I really wanted to. but I'm just going to leave that one blank because I'm just going to get a general output. And then I could choose who I want to share this with. So right now, Eileen is the only person that I've given permission to go ahead and have these reports. So I'm just going to choose Eileen there. And I can choose whether the file is going to be in CSV or an Excel format. Once I'm done with that, I can choose to deliver this either daily, weekly, or monthly. And once I was done with that, I'll be able to save and close. And if I have a valid report that I'm all set with, I can actually choose to just download it right out of the system, and I will be all set. My info will be there and ready to go. And anytime I want to add more fields or maybe even remove fields, it'll be easy for me to do that in the system. As you can see, I have a preview that's also showing me the information as well. Now I'm going to go ahead and just show our country insights section. So for country insights, this is how you can glean more information about the countries that you're going into. So on the right-hand side, you're going to see I already have folks in South Africa, already have folks in the United Kingdom, but let's say I wanted more information about Brazil. I would just come in here, view details, and that'll give me information about hiring in the country, employment contracts in the country, probationary periods, non-compete, etc. And most importantly, you're going to get a view of the holidays in that jurisdiction as well, plus a bevy of other options that you can review. As mentioned before, 13th month salary is something that's popular throughout the world. So where did I see that one? There it is. In Brazil, it's something that's required. So it's not even optional in this market. This is someplace you'd have to actually offer that. But once again, if I had questions about this as I went through, it's easy for me to just click on this chat. I can go ahead and say, hey, I have a question about 13th month. I don't quite understand why I need to pay it out. Should I maybe reduce my overall annual salary that I'm going to choose for this person so that it can be divided upon 13th instead of 12 months? Things like that. These are the questions that you may have that you really want answered. And this is actually a great forum for you to ask those questions. Now, I do see that we are running low on time. And we're now going to go to the questions. All right. Now let's see if we have any questions that have come up. Bear with me one moment. All right. So it looks like we have a few. All right, first one is, what are the most common markets that US-based companies are expanding into currently? Matt, would you like to take that one?
Yeah, thanks, Reggie. And that's a fantastic question. So from my experience and what we see on our platform as far as total headcount and expansion plans with our strategic customers, the top 3 markets are starting at 3 is Mexico, number 2 being the United Kingdom, and number 1 being Canada. So as you can see, a lot of US-based companies, time zone is a very important component. So hiring in Canada and Mexico, the time zone, there's a lot of synergy there. Also, they typically speak English. In Mexico, they are bilingual. So if you're looking to leverage a customer support professional that speaks both English and Spanish, and also you're looking to reduce your costs as far as salary and compensation, Mexico is a great place. If you're looking to hire someone who has very similar talent to the US, but they're right across the border and maybe they lived in the US at one point, or they're just a very sought after talent in North America. Canada is a very common market for us. And then the UK just being, like I talked about with that customer story, a very common area to strategically grow into Europe and really have as that hub. And a lot of customers, they want to use us instead of setting up their own entity. And that's where we can really help in all of those markets. But again, that's for US-based companies. We can also help if the headquarters is in EMEA or APAC, and then that answer would be slightly different. But hopefully that was helpful regarding US-based companies. And I know we've got a few more questions as well. Reggie, I'll let you take the next one. How are you able to reduce onboarding time?
Oh, that's a good one. So in terms of onboarding time, if you think about when people don't work with the EOR, one of the first things you're going to have to do is do the legwork to find out, how am I going to send this contract out? How am I going to pay this person? What's compliant? And then once you figure that part out, you have to go set up things such as a bank, an entity, and etc. So we reduce onboarding time by kind of doing all the hard work for the customers in the beginning. So what we do is once you sign a master agreement, we already have our entities around the world. So you come in, you just input the name of the professional that you'd like to onboard, you input the title that you'd want, and we already have all the compliance items already arranged out. if you remember, we were going through the United Kingdom ECG. If you were within the meeting, you'll see that we actually had a section that had talked about statutory minimums. And also, you'll go through and we'll give you advisement on the left-hand side. So some things may not be required, but we'll say, hey, if you don't include a probationary period in France, may come back and bite you later on. So not to pick on France, but Brazil, same thing. There's just certain countries where it's harder to offboard people. So we're giving you all the information in the front to make sure that later on you don't have any things that make things more cumbersome for you. So you not only save you time in the beginning where you're coming in, inputting the information, not having to do any legwork. You can get through the contract in minutes if you really wanted to. I always advise taking your time. And also at the end, when it's time to offboard people, everything is already being tracked. And so in a compliant manner, you'll be able to offboard them. Even in the case of you setting up your own entity, we're going to be able to go ahead and say, recommend somebody resigning versus terminating, because if you terminate, you're going to have to pay out severance. So these are all the things that kind of encapsulate why it's better to go with companies like GP, because overall, you're going to spend so much time doing this on your own. And later on, that time may double when it's time to offboard. So encapsulating the whole process, I hope they answered the question. We reduced the onboarding time, and we also reduced the time for everything else in the middle as well. And it looks like we do have a last one that came in. What are the main technologies you integrate with? All right. So I'd say the main technologies we integrate with are ADP, Workforce Now. That's a huge one. We also have TriNet OneView. It's a pretty big one as well. We have Workday. We also have an open API. I probably should have started with that one. So we have an open API that actually allows you to integrate with your own system if you've already built one. But with the same vein, we have a few out-of-the-box partners that we work with. And also, if you're using, for example, ADP, if you actually go to their international hire section, that drops you right into the GP platform through a single sign-on. So we integrate with a ton of partners around the world. We give you the opportunity to choose how to integrate it with your own direct technology. And we have a ton of new integrations coming as well, being that is one of our main focuses for 2024. So if I didn't mention one that you're already involved with, don't fret, we'll probably have it by the end of the year. Looks like we are short on time though. So any questions that you have additionally, please feel free to send them over and we can definitely get back via email. But thank you for joining us today. I hope you have a great morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. My name is Reggie Clairville, Matt Desrosiers, and we were happy to go through the platform with you today.
Thank you, Reggie and Matt, for that excellent presentation and demo. So much good information there. I just wanted to thank everyone else for joining us today for this session and to let you know that this session, along with all of today's content, will be available on demand following the event. Thank you again.